Wow, thank you, everyone. Look, it's when you start with a standing ovation, you can only go downhill from here, so I'm going to do my best not to do that. Thank you, Mayor, for the really kind introduction, and probably more importantly, for serving on the design review board. I would never want to do that, so thank you for being willing to do that. That's a much harder job than being the mayor of Laguna Beach. I also want to thank Aaron Slatterly, Jeff Redeker, and Joelle Padu, and the entire Laguna Beach Chamber of Commerce, including Paula Hornbuckle-Arnold, for putting together this amazing and sold-out event. Words cannot express what an honor it is to be the mayor of my hometown. And it is an even greater honor to serve on what I consider to be the best city council in the history of Laguna Beach. And I'm going to go through each of them. So I want to start with five-time former mayor Bob Whalen, who's just unprecedented record of public service in our community. Sue Kempf, fun fact about Sue and I was her in 2022 when she was running for re-election. Sue and I always make this joke. I was going to be her campaign manager, and then a day before the deadline, I called Sue and I said, "Sue, I think I want to run for city council." And Sue's like, "Great," and then she said, "Oh, well, I don't have a campaign manager right now." But anyway, it worked out. We're both here, right, Sue? So anyway, thank you, Sue. Mayor Pro Tem Mark Orgill. Where's Mark? Oh, Mark's over here. So Mark's been through what Mark brings is a track record of navigating the Laguna Beach city process, which is in and of itself, that's a lot harder than being on city council. He developed 7 degrees and the LCAD student housing, and he brings that private sector expertise every day to city council. And then finally, our new outstanding council member, Hallie Jones. Hallie's a champion for our open space. I had this great line about her marching in the canyon, but then she told me last night that when she was 10 years old, and in her words, she was a brat and stayed at home, so she missed the march to save the canyon, but she's dedicated her whole career to doing that. So we're so grateful, Hallie, to have you on the city council. So I want to acknowledge my family because I wouldn't be here without my family. And my brothers are not here to heckle me today, so I guess in some respects that's good. But I'm really proud of them. My youngest brother, Willie, is graduating this spring from UC Berkeley. He'll be the 4th generation of my family to graduate from there, so go Bears. And then my brother, Charlie, is completing the fire academy to be a firefighter in Seattle. My mom is a local attorney, and her side of the family instilled the values of public service, the rule of law, and education in me. My grandpa, Jerry, the former chancellor of the California Community College System, he's unfortunately no longer with us today, but his values and his emphasis on empathy and diplomacy to find solutions, it's something that I think about every day, especially when we have late night city council meetings on tough issues. So. My grandma Linda, retired school teacher, is here today visiting from Sacramento along with her sister and my great aunt Karen. So thank you both for being here. And then, and from my dad's side of the family, I learned the perspective and struggles of small business owners, like my dad and my uncle Arish, who are both here today, and also artists like my grandfather, who brought his family to Orange County from Iran in the 1970s, and he found Laguna Beach because it's the artist colony. And so that's sort of the theme of where I want to pick up as we move forward and talk about history. Simply put, there's nowhere like Laguna Beach, and 2027, just 2 years from now, we will mark the city's 100th year. 100 years, that's a big deal. And with our centennial celebration fast approaching, Laguna Beach has never been a place that stands still or acquiesces to the status quo. It has always evolved, always adapted, and always found a way to honor its past to inform its future. From the beginning, this has been a city shaped by both art and nature, a place where the landscape itself feels like a masterpiece, and where generations of artists have been drawn to it to capture its beauty. In the early 20th century, a group of plein air painters arrived, drawn by the stunning coastline, dramatic canyons, and ever-changing light. These artists, visionaries like William Wendt, Anna Hills, and Edgar Payne, didn't just capture the beauty of Laguna Beach, they built a community around it. And in 1932, launching now what is one of the most famous cultural events in the county, the Festival of Arts, it was an act of resilience during the Great Depression. It brought artists together, supported the local economy, and ensured that Laguna's creative spirit remained strong even in difficult times. A few years later, the festival gave rise to one of our city's most iconic traditions, the Pageant of the Masters, where art is not just displayed, but it's brought to life. As a fun fact, when I was little, I tried to try out for the pageant and the Masters, but my mom wouldn't let me go to the tryout because I couldn't stand still long enough, if you can imagine that. But you like that, Jeff? Okay. But as we look towards our city's 100th-year anniversary, we must ask, how do we ensure that Laguna Beach remains a sanctuary for artists and creativity in the years to come? I'll just state the artist. You can't be an artist colony without artists living here. And in 2001, the hotels in the city worked together to create the Business Improvement District, which has brought more than $20 million in non-taxpayer dollars to fund the arts. It's time to take that to the next level and fund artist housing on an ongoing basis. And I'm proud that as part of the proposed Business Improvement District for the next 10 years, the hotels are proposing to dedicate a portion of the funds to create an ongoing funding stream for artist housing. With this dedicated funding stream and the creation of a land trust, we can ensure that Laguna remains an artist colony for the next 100 years. So that's exciting. Let's also start by activating the Irvine Bowl for year-round uses, especially live music. Here, hold on, we'll get there. Especially live music in the fall and the spring. As members of the Irvine Bowl Policy Committee, Councilmember Kempf and I have worked to advance a policy that will allow for year-round use, pending the City Council's approval. Ben Warner and Enoch Harris, where Ben and Enoch, stand over there. They're the visionaries behind the Coast Film Festival, who also run the movie series at our beloved Rivian Theater. They have approval to host live music at the Irvine Bowl this fall. I know who the person is that's going to be performing, but I'm not allowed to tell any of you. And if I did, it would overshadow the whole event today, so we're not going to do that. But I'm really excited about the event that's coming, and I hope we can really fully activate that because it's a key asset for our community. So now I need to seamlessly pivot from talking about live music and arts to updates on what I consider the three core competencies of local government: public safety, infrastructure, and government efficiency. So let's start with public safety. Public safety is the most important thing we do, and you'll hear from the three chiefs on our panel later, but I'm proud to emphasize a few highlights. For the fourth consecutive year, our police department has successfully reduced crime overall, with a 23% decrease in FBI uniform crime reporting Part 1 crimes in 2024 compared to 2023. We have supported this by fully funding our law enforcement and investing in innovative tools like advanced camera systems along our roadways, drones, and automated license plate readers. So let's give a round of applause for our police department. Our Marine Safety Department successfully responded to over 5,000 rescues in July 2024 alone, which is a dramatic jump from a little over 3,000 in 2023 for that same month. We introduced Wave Watch 1, a dedicated rescue vessel dedicated to enhancing marine response times. Look at that picture of me on it. I got to see it firsthand, how it really is a force multiplier when it comes to public safety. And so the exciting thing is that Wave Watch 1 is just the beginning. We have Wave Watch 2 coming, and thanks to the work of our tireless county supervisor, Katrina Foley. Katrina, you want to stand? We secured a dock space in Dana Point Harbor for Wave Watch 2, which is expected later this year. So we're going to have one parked in Newport Harbor and then one parked in Dana Point Harbor, and this is really a force multiplier when it comes to public safety, so which is very important. So again, thank you to our county supervisor. I don't work for her anymore, so she's not paying me to say this. So, so let's talk about wildfire safety. So the question is not if, but when the next wildfire happens in Laguna Beach. That's how our council has approached things, and that was even before the Palisades and Eaton fires, which have really just, you can't overstate the devastation that occurred there. And I was able to visit it with our city manager and our fire chief. Over the last 5 years, more than $25 million have been invested in our wildfire resilience. And in May, a renewed wildfire prevention ad hoc committee led by Sue and Bob will present an updated plan that mitigates our risk. Priorities will include undergrounding the remaining 30% of Laguna Beach, including Laguna Canyon Road, which is a key evacuation route. That has to get done. Investing in innovative technologies like drones and cameras with AI capabilities to quickly detect wildfires before they become major. Streamlining the regulatory barriers to fuel modification, which can take as long as 3 years. 3 years, that's crazy. So we're going to hopefully work on how we can streamline that. And working with you, our community, to educate, practice, and stay prepared for the next fire events. So let's talk infrastructure. A city approaching 100 years has significant infrastructure needs, and let me tell you, Laguna Beach is no exception. But progress is on the horizon. For the first time in more than 55 years, the city is building a new fire station, which is going to the Planning Commission tonight. Can you believe that, Joe and Robin? You guys have probably built how many? They're the Newport Beach. They built 5 fire stations in that time period. We haven't built any, but we're going to change that. And as part of our facilities master plan, we are identifying a roadmap to ensure that all our fire stations and safety infrastructure are seismically sound. Because when the big earthquake happens, we don't want all of our fire stations taken out of capacity. So we're working hard on that. We also have the opportunity to invest $4.2 million in funding to improve our existing library. This is money from the county, so again, thank you, Supervisor Foley, for that. We've invested in electrifying our fleet and pursuing solar on city facilities, which will advance our sustainability goals, build resiliency, and save taxpayer dollars by lowering our long-term operating costs. I could talk more about our infrastructure investments in exciting projects like the Promenade, PCH sidewalks, and park improvements. I think you guys all saw some of our infrastructure work in action when you tried to get here today. But what I want to focus on is the underground infrastructure that we often don't think about, but we rely on every day. Local water reliability. And I'm going to give another history lesson to you guys. And it's funny because when I got a history degree from college and people said, oh, that's not going to amount to anything. Well, look at me now. I'm using history. So I'm prepared for this moment. Water scarcity has long been a challenge in Laguna Beach, dating back to the earliest non-indigenous settlers who relied on rainwater collection and barrels of water brought in. Up until the early 1920s, the town depended on shallow wells in Laguna Canyon, but with growth, these limited sources became inadequate. Residents lined up at an old county well, sometimes waiting hours just to collect drinking and cooking water. It was like an early version of our community development counter if you've ever been there on a busy day. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, a 5-member citizens committee was formed in 1924 to secure a reliable water source for Laguna Beach. Posing as duck hunters to keep their true intentions secret, the men traveled north to the Santa Ana River Basin where they identified a 120-acre plot of water-bearing land. Pooling their own money for initial deposit, they arranged to purchase the land, securing what would become Laguna's future water supply. With the new water supply secured, Laguna residents faced one final hurdle, a $600,000 bond measure, and there was concern it might not pass. To sway public opinion, former baseball star and local resident Gabby Cravath took matters into his own hands, connecting a brackish, long-abandoned well to the city's pipeline the night before the vote. The resulting foul-tasting water was enough to convince every single voter of the bond's necessity, leading to an unprecedented unanimous approval of 359 to 0. I think this might have been the last time everyone in Laguna Beach agreed on something. For many years, Laguna Beach County Water District delivered clean, reliable groundwater to the community, ensuring a stable future for generations to come. Unfortunately, over time, the groundwater became salty and unreliable, which caused the district to begin relying on imported water. Today, we rely on 100% imported water from the Colorado River and California State Water Project. But that will soon change. Exactly 100 years after forming the Laguna Beach County Water District to access the groundwater basin, the Laguna Beach City Council, which is this gets very complicated, we're also the board of directors for the water district, have purchased land in Fountain Valley. And we negotiated, and I see the mayor of Newport is here, we negotiated a memorandum of understanding. So we bought land in Fountain Valley. We're working to build a well, Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, that's going to give 2/3 of our water supply right here locally. Democrats and Republicans working together, right? Thank you, Joe. And we're currently working on the entitlements. We're hoping to get those entitlements secured in Q2 of this year and then get shovels in the ground early next year. This will provide for water reliability and should save ratepayers $1 million a year, so that's a big deal. And so we have 2 water districts. We have South Coast Water District. South Coast is in the house over here, I see. So they're building a desalination plant, which we're a partner on. So with our well in Fountain Valley with Newport, South Coast Water District doing desal at Doheny, we're going to basically go in the next 5 years from 100% imported water to a majority of our water coming with local reliability. That's a big deal and something to celebrate. So thank you, South Coast. So we've spoken about public safety, infrastructure. Let's talk government efficiency and what we've been doing. So in Laguna Beach, we are notorious for our rules. And many of these rules are critical to our identity, like our 36-foot height limit. That's critical. But many of these rules have created a regulatory nightmare. I recently spoke again to my friend Zach Cornwall, the founder of Wig Sandwiches, about the 3-year-long process that it took for him to open up a small business in our town. This delay was largely due to the city's code initially requiring 27 parking spaces, later reduced to 14 parking spaces, both of which are impossible on the small lot. Look at that lot. You can't fit that many parking spaces. It's time to modernize our parking code so small businesses can fill our vacant storefronts. Because when it takes 3 years to open a small business, it's no wonder that we have an 8.3% vacancy rate, which is significantly higher than our surrounding cities and double the Orange County market average of 4.1%. These vacancies and delays hurt our town's culture and, frankly, residents' quality of life, but has also significantly reduced our tax revenue stream. To address this, the City Council is exploring ways to modernize outdated regulations, such as simplifying minor permit requirements and shifting design review board cases to staff-level approvals, and city staff have been streamlining Laguna's complex permitting process. The city has implemented the InterGov digital platform, so you don't have to go in that long line at community development. We're going online. And increased training, restructured roles, and added temporary personnel, along with performance metrics, which the council is getting an update on every month to make sure that we're really moving the ball forward in terms of getting rid of the backlog and the delays. There's certainly more progress that needs to occur, but these efforts have led to some progress with the goal of reducing the plan check turnaround times to no more than 30 days by April 15, 2025. So less than a month away, we're almost there. So the city manager, the ball's in your court to get that done. I also, when we talk about government efficiency is critical for addressing housing in California, and I'm really proud of the work that we've done. We just got Coastal Commission approval in probably record time for the Coastal Commission for an ordinance that's going to allow for second-story housing in our commercial zone, which could allow for probably 300 to 400 over the next few years of smaller, naturally more affordable housing units, which I think that's really the key to solving issues like the housing crisis because so anyway, we're really excited about that work with the Coastal Commission. It's not going to change the identity of Laguna Beach because you already can do second floor office. We're just going to make it where you can do housing as well. So I spent a day at community development, so if you want to go to that slide. I spent a day trying to be a planner, and let me tell you, being a planner is a very hard job. But it really gave me insights into the need for the council to embrace practical reform efforts that embrace Laguna Beach's high standards while making our permitting process more efficient and predictable for residents and businesses. And I want to emphasize that these goals would not be within reach without our determined community development team and, of course, our outstanding city manager, Dave Kiff. Let's give a round of applause to Dave Kiff, by the way. Dave, just as a matter of background, Dave was the former city manager of Newport Beach, so he knows how a very professionally run city, how it works. But the good thing is he's not from Newport Beach. He lives in Laguna Beach. So he's not going to make us look like Laguna Beach, but he's going to make our city run like Newport Beach. So we get the best of both worlds. So anyway, thank you, Dave. I want to thank the Montage Laguna Beach for hosting us today. And actually, this beautiful resort is a great example of the thoughtful collaboration approach to change that I've been talking about today. For more than 50 years, the land beneath us was a gated trailer park. Rumor has it, our Mayor Pro Tem Mark Orgill, he lived here when he was young in this gated trailer park. The gated trailer park had dilapidated structures and no public access to the beach. Not connected to the city's sewer system, raw sewage would go directly into the ocean, clearly, in direct conflict with our goals of sustainability. Even after the trailer park closed, there was vehement resistance to this project. And there were 42 public hearings, 2 contentious referendums, and 2 rounds of Coastal Commission review. And thanks to the visionary leaders, this is now a world-class resort with architecture that honors our artistic heritage, 14 acres of common open space, including a 7-acre public park, and of course, full access to the beach. As part of the deal, the development funded the city's last affordable housing project, the 27-unit Alice Court senior housing. And since opening, the Montage has generated more than $77 million in local bed tax revenue. That's not even including property taxes, which we can invest in capital improvement projects. I see John Mansour in the back, who was the developer on this. So I'm hoping I'm not triggering any PTSD of the 42 public hearings. But anyway, so whether it's the history of the Montage, the Festival of the Arts, or access to groundwater, our history teaches us that you don't hang on to what is so special about Laguna Beach by keeping things the same, but by constantly and carefully evolving. It's time to move beyond the passive acquiescence to the status quo and instead pursue thoughtful, visionary actions to shape our future. And if we do that, I feel great confidence about what the next 100 years will look like. So again, thank you so much. It's an honor to be your mayor, and let's welcome our panel to the stage. Thank you.